Boston, thank you for coming. No, but it means so much that you all took the time to come tonight, and really that my two colleagues here, incredible people, and East Boston is so lucky, the city of Boston is so lucky to have Sal and Adrian in office. I want to recognize another trailblazer too, and former City Councilor Diane Monica, one of the women also a strong advocate for small businesses. So thank you for being here. I'm going to cut to the chase and just say I am here to ask for your vote on November 3rd to keep what has been the best job in the world over the last 2 years. Being in city government is waking up every day and figuring out how I can help people, how I can make lives just a little bit better around the city of Boston. It's something that I take really, really personally. I didn't expect to be in government, and now we're on the campaign trail often with Blaze, and my husband Connor, I should mention, works at East Boston Savings Bank, so we have another neighborhood connection there. But I never thought that I would be standing before you all as a city councilor. When I grew up, I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and my parents are immigrants. They didn't speak English for probably the first dozen or so years of my life. When they arrived in America, they had nothing. They came just for that dream, right? That chance at opportunity, a public education, democracy, good jobs. And when we grew up, that was what we were supposed to focus on. Working hard, do your homework, get to all your activities, get in a good college. We never talked about politics over the dinner table. And honestly, I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me in government. I never met anyone who had run for office before. So I worked hard. I got an opportunity of a lifetime when I got a scholarship to come to Boston for Harvard for college. And when I arrived here, I had that feeling that this is where I wanted to be from here on out. So I started spending every weekend coming over from Cambridge to Boston, going to Chinatown, teaching English classes there, teaching citizenship classes there. After I graduated, got a great job working downtown, and probably would still be in that life if something unexpected hadn't happened to my family. I got a call one day from my littlest sister, who you heard was about 10 years old at the time. She said, you have to come home. You have to come back to Chicago. There's something wrong with Mommy. And we all realized that it was a pretty serious mental illness that my mom had begun to struggle with out of the blue. Over about a 3-month period, went from being that center post of our family, right, the person that took care of everyone, made sure there's food on the table, clean clothes, got to school on time, went from taking care of everything and everyone to not being able to take care of my sisters anymore, and really needing a lot of help to even take care of herself. So I found myself a little off plan, but at the age of 22, raising my sisters, taking care of my mom, and decided to open a family business to keep us going. I picked a spot in a beautiful residential corner of Chicago. I spent all my time tasting teas and putting together the menu, designing the business and the space. And then when I was ready, had everything set, I went to City Hall to get my permit to open. And then the trouble started. Everything went downhill from there. It was one delay after another, one inspection after another, this thing, that thing, red tape all over the place. And it took 3 times as long as I had planned for us to get open. In the meantime, I was losing money through rent. My family was under a lot of stress. And when I talked to all the business owners down the street, they had gone through that exact same thing. So all of a sudden, at the age of 22, I'd never thought about government before, but it seemed like everywhere I turned, there was government. When I needed to open my business and couldn't get open. When I needed to get my sisters into a good school and kept having trouble. When I needed to get my mom to a good doctor who could speak Chinese and who understood our cultural background. Again, struggles. And I decided right then and there that when the chance came, I was going to do something about it. I got the chance to come back to Boston for law school, went back to Harvard and brought my family with me. So I was going to law school by day and taking care of my family by night, and got an internship in city government with Mayor Menino. Mayor Menino just gave me all the lessons that I needed to know. And I remember that first week, I was in one of the offices around the corner from his. He called me into a meeting, or someone came up to me and said, Mayor Benito would like you to sit in on this meeting. I was so nervous, so excited, I ran and took my seat. It was a meeting about the new school building at the old Ferdinand building, new bowling building. And there were representatives from the BRA there were the private developers, there was a whole table of people, and the mayor at the front, at the head of the table. The project was behind schedule, it was over cost, and everybody started coming up with all sorts of excuses. And this is happening, this is why we're not getting it done, it's going to take a little longer. And the mayor I had never seen anyone that mad before. He just started saying, but what about the people? What is this? Why? I don't care anything you're saying. What about the people of Boston? What about the kids that need that building to be open? He said, that's it. I don't want to hear any more. Get it done. Everybody sort of skittered out of the meeting, and I ran back to my desk. He was so mad. That was the first time I really got to talk to him. About 10 minutes later, I looked up, and the mayor was standing right in front of my desk. And he winks at me, he goes, how'd I do, kid? And that was his first lesson to me, that you can talk about all of the big, fancy ideas of development and policy and numbers and budgets, but at the end of the day, we have to get things done and govern for people. We have to remember why we're there. It's for the residents, it's for the neighborhoods, it's for the families. And that's what I've had the privilege, the honor, the pleasure of doing for the last 2 years. I learned a lot from my colleagues. I talk to Sal a lot. It's not just, how can I help East Boston, but more often, hey, can you help me with this? I don't know what's going on. Can you explain this to me? And with that guidance, with all my colleagues and all of the great energy in City Hall, we've gotten so much done for Boston. I'm proud that 2 of the ordinances I worked on set national headlines. The first on paid parental leave. You may not realize it, but the United States is really far behind when it comes to taking care of you moms and dads. We are one of 2 countries around the world that doesn't offer any type of federal paid maternity leave. It's us and Papua New Guinea. And so at the City of Boston, we said, we're going to do something about it. My colleagues and I unanimously passed the ordinance, the mayor signed it, and you know what? After the city acted, then the state took action. We had our Attorney General, Maura Healey, implement paid leave for her employees. We had our Treasurer, Deb Goldberg, implemented for her employees, and even Governor Baker started to talk about it. Same thing with my ordinance on healthcare equity. An issue that was causing another very unfair choice for families who had to choose between saving up money for their kids' college tuition or saving up for medically necessary surgery that was out of pocket. The city said, we're going to take the lead in prohibiting discrimination based on gender identity. After we implemented it unanimously, then Governor Patrick said to all of the insurance companies statewide, we're going to do this for all of Massachusetts. So today, it's actually city governments that are taking the lead. Cities who are saying, this is what's fair, this is what's progressive, and we're not going to wait for Washington, D.C. to get their act together and figure things out. We're going to do it, be the example. It's not just the laws either. I've had the chance to convene some really important and meaningful conversations leading to changes around wage theft, protecting our most vulnerable workers, a working group on communications access for residents who don't speak English and for the visually and hearing impaired. And for me, most important, it's about the constituent services, the people who call my office because there's nowhere else to turn. And for East Boston, that's only when they don't have Sal's number. But I want to tell you about one call that I got after paid leave went through. It was from a new mom who said that she had just come to City Hall. She needed to get a birth certificate for her five-week-old daughter. She said, I didn't have a great experience. I just want you to hear what happened to me. I came and I went to the second floor counter. They have all those big windows. I got in line, I waited, I got to the front of the line. They handed me a piece of paper. That's what you have to fill out your information, then they'll go back in the files and dig out my daughter's certificate. The paper said mother and father, and I'm in a 2-mom household. So I crossed out father and I wrote my name there, and when I handed it back, I got some pretty uncomfortable questions. Did I know how to fill out the form? It just didn't feel good. So I took that day and made sure that by the end of the next business day, there was a new form down there in the City Hall counter, second floor counter, that includes everybody. It says parent 1, parent 2, and now everyone who comes to get a birth certificate can feel that they are part of our city. And that's our job. It's from the biggest laws on the books that catch national headlines down to the smallest pieces of paper. We have to make sure that everybody feels welcome in our city. That we're a city that's open for business, for small businesses, for families, for students and parents trying to get to a good school. And I'll tell you just one last thing. My husband and I recently moved. We went from the South End, which was about 15 minutes drive to City Hall, to Rosendale, which is now about 45 minutes drive. I hear there's some traffic in East Boston too, so you might understand. And from Rosendale, just like from East Boston, from our neighborhoods, you can look towards downtown and you see the city of Boston perfectly clearly. You see the tall buildings, the cranes, all of the growth and excitement that's happening in downtown Boston. From 45 minutes away, that's our city. And the big question for me, for my colleagues, and for the success of our city that we have to figure out is, do the kids living in our neighborhoods, the ones that have to look far away and see that downtown Boston, do those kids feel that that's their city, that they're part of Boston, that one day they're going to have a job downtown or in the neighborhoods, that they're going to be able to raise a family, find a good school, keep their families here in our city? That's what I work for every day. That's what I am so honored to do as a city councilor. That's why I'm here to ask for your vote on November 3rd. So thank you so much for listening to me, for coming out.